All Top 5s is not an advocate for flat earth theory. This video is an impartial presentation of what a small group of people choose to believe. I think it's important to listen to and to try and understand every viewpoint, even if I disagree and if decades of scientific data have proved these viewpoints to be incorrect. Hello and welcome to All Top 5s. It's a surprisingly controversial topic, even today. Is the Earth round, or is the Earth flat? Many would say, well, it's obviously a sphere, look at the wealth of scientific evidence. But many would respond that this is all fabricated, or at least misinterpreted. Historically, many civilizations believed that the Earth was flat, but today it's generally accepted that the Earth is a sphere orbiting the Sun. Indeed, YouTube probably gave you a content advisory warning about this video, as the theories I'll be talking about go against the majority of scientific understanding. But it's interesting, and good practice, to try and understand each other's viewpoints. So before you get into commenting and arguing your own points, just be patient and have a listen to some of the reasons that some people give these days for still believing that the Earth isn't a globe. Number 5. The wall. Probably the most fundamental flat Earth theory is the shape and limits of the Earth. The theory goes that the world is shaped like a disc, relatively flat of course, with the Arctic North Pole as its centre, leading to an outer rim that comprises the Arctic. This outer wall of ice is believed to hold in the oceans, and therefore nothing can fall off the edges. The atmosphere is then thought to extend from the rim of the Earth disk up into the sky in the style of a snow globe, or a bubble. What lies beyond those enormous walls of ice then, other than a crushingly disappointing final season? Well, it's a good question. The Flat Earth Society also wants to know. They say, to our knowledge, no one has been very far past the ice wall and returned to tell of their journey. What we do know is that it encircles the Earth and serves to hold in our oceans and helps protect us from whatever lies beyond. Whatever lies beyond? That sounds potentially sinister. Maybe Lovecraft was onto something there. It's worth also saying that there is a bipolar model of the Earth theory, which states that the ice wall isn't Antarctica. That is supposed to be situated as its own normal landmass on the disk of the Earth. The ice walls instead are believed to be frozen seawater because the edges of the Earth are much further from the warm sunlight. Though this bipolar theory is not widely believed, with many more believing the monopole model instead. So why not just take a plane and try flying over that icy wall then? Well, some more fervent flat Earth theorists believe that NASA, more on them later by the way, guards the perimeter to prevent people crossing it, presumably so they don't fall off. Other than that, there just doesn't seem to be any documentation detailing people's attempts to cross it, so what lies beyond this supposed icy boundary shall remain a mystery to flat earthers until they cross it. Number 4. The heavens. So if we look at the bigger picture here, bigger than the Earth itself, whatever shape it is, then how does flat Earth theory explain the cosmos, the sun, the moon, the stars, and so on? A spherical Earth orbits the sun, and the moon orbits the spherical Earth. But what about with this flat disk? The sun is still believed to be a sphere, but it's 32 miles across, and it moves in circles 3,000 miles above and around the surface of the North Pole, the centre point of the flat Earth. At equinox, when the sun is directly visible above the equator, the sun is thought to move in a perfect circle above the flat Earth. This circular movement gets wider at winter solstice and narrower at summer solstice, to explain the presence of seasons, where the sun appears higher or lower in the sky. The moon is thought to act in the same way, just as a rotation of about 347 degrees per day, instead of the sun's 360 degrees. Seen the problem here? Day and night. So if there's no spherical Earth to obscure the sun, then how do you explain the disappearance of the sun in flat Earth theory? Well, they call it the electromagnetic accelerator theory. And this posits that all light curves slowly upwards in respect to the flat Earth as it travels, due to dark energy. It apparently bends so much that, depending upon your position on the flat Earth, it would bend up and travel away into space. If that light isn't reaching you on Earth, then the sun isn't visible, clearly, and it's given the illusion of setting. And how about the stars and planets? Well, it's believed that the stars are a layer of luminous elements arranged in a kind of inverse globe, which revolves around the flat Earth about once every 24 hours. Interestingly, the planets of Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and so on are believed to be spheres themselves that revolve around the Earth. The Earth is considered a special case. It's a complicated and very detailed model of the solar system, with the Earth as a central flat disk, quite unlike any of the other heavenly bodies therefore. Number 3. The Antimoon. The moon that we all know and love is a 2,000 mile across sphere of rock that orbits the round Earth. In flat Earth theory though, it's believed to be similar to the Sun, a 32 mile across sphere that revolves 3,000 miles above the flat Earth's surface on roughly the same path as the Sun, just a bit slower. The moon must be slightly closer than the Sun is in this model though, so as to explain solar eclipses, where we know the moon actually passes directly in front of the Sun. So that's supposedly explained, but what about lunar eclipses? A lunar eclipse is when the spherical Earth passes between the Sun and the moon, casting a shadow across the moon's surface. So how can this phenomenon be explained away by flat Earth theory? Well, it's not fully agreed upon within the flat Earth community, but the most prevalent explanation is that of a mysterious shadow object, or Antimoon. It's thought that this is a translucent object that orbits the Sun at a tilted angle, explaining why it's uncommon to have a lunar eclipse. The Sun's powerful bending rays block out most of the sky, obscuring the stars and other planets, but also this antimoon, rendering it invisible. It's only when the antimoon gets in the way of the moon that flat earthers believe a lunar eclipse occurs. Lunar eclipses often appear red because of the sunlight scattering through Earth's atmosphere. But with flat Earth theory, there's another explanation. Namely, the antimoon isn't particularly dense, so the sun's light partially shines through it, giving the moon a reddish tint. In fact, in an apparent bid to keep open-minded, flat Earth theory states that perhaps the antimoon is something that's known to us all along, and could actually be Venus or Mercury obscuring the moon, but that more study would be needed to confirm this. I'm not really sure that further study will ever confirm that theory though. Number 2. The conspiracy. Scientific measurements and formulae aside, the main bulk of accusations against the flat Earth theory come in the form of photographs and eyewitness testimony. For example, there are countless photographs that depict the Earth as round, or astronauts who have been into space report that yes, it is indeed a globe. The main response from flat Earth theory is simply denial and dismissal that it's all misinformation and sometimes even conspiracy. Photographs and videos that are taken at high altitudes or even from space itself are inaccurate, flat Earth theory believes. They claim it's easy to manipulate images and alter them to make the horizon of Earth look rounded. In addition, most camera lenses do suffer from distortion, such as barrel or fisheye, and so flat Earth theory states that none of these images can be relied upon as a result. They even state that pressurized cabins of aeroplanes, bent glass windows, and atmospheric conditions will all interfere with images and how you view the world. How about astronauts then? People who have been up there and seen things with their own eyes. Again, it's all lies apparently, according to flat Earth theory. They believe that the Cold War space race that saw the USA and the USSR competing to reach space and the moon was so intensely fought that each side actually faked their accomplishments, and that it escalated from there. In my moon landing videos, I talked about this, that conspiracy theorists believe that funding a fake space program and producing false data is a lot cheaper, so it must all be fake. Some flat Earth theories say that it's confirmation bias rather than dishonesty, so that you see what you expect to see, that space agencies believe that the Earth is round and therefore they depict it as such, no dishonesty. Sadly though, there are some flat Earth believers that aren't quite so diplomatic, and they continually harass space agency employees about this alleged conspiracy, something that should really stop. Number 1. The gravity illusion. We rely on gravity every day so that we don't fall off the Earth. If we throw something up, it generally comes back down. While modern physics has changed how we view gravity, not as a force but an effect of the curvature of space and time, flat Earth theory denies gravity as a force or pseudo-force entirely. Their explanation is simple. Flat Earth theory calls it universal acceleration. So instead of an attractive force or a bending of the fabric of space-time, universal acceleration states that the flat Earth is instead travelling upwards, quote-unquote, towards the sky at an ever-increasing rate. This is believed to give the feeling and the effect of gravity as we know it, like how a car accelerating forces you back into your seat. One problem with this is that if the flat Earth is accelerating, at a rate of 9.8 metres per second squared by the way, then won't it reach the speed of light, which is supposed to be impossible by the laws of physics for anything that has mass? Flat Earth theory suggests that it won't. It states that it depends on the frame of reference, so an unaffected observer in the universe would witness the Earth's acceleration decreasing. I've got to say, it is interesting to see Einstein's theory of relativity brought into flat Earth discussions. And this universal acceleration of the Earth is supposed to be driven by dark energy, the unknown sunlight bender from before. From there, the theories apparently delve further into equivalence principles, gravitational time dilation, redshift, and so on, but I think it's best that we stop there. Overall, while I do think that most people would see any of these theories and just dismiss them, it's really quite fascinating to look at all the painstaking detail and the lengths that flat earthers have gone to in order to explain the cosmos from a flat Earth perspective. And that's it from All Top 5s for this week. Please do remember to be civil when posting comments, I know this is a hot topic. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, all the good stuff, or you can click to support All Top 5s on Patreon, that would be amazing. So peace and love to each and every one of you, and I'll see you all next time on All Top 5s.